Tonight's special guest is John Hanlon. John is well known to all baby boomers with his great musical career in New Zealand. And after a successful career in the Australian advertising world, John is back in New Zealand for a short visit, promoting his new book, Golf, A Course in Life. We welcome John Hanlon as our special guest on The Beat Goes On. John Hanlon, welcome back to The Beat Goes On. It must be 2.5 years since you were last on The Beat Goes On, would it be? And you were promoting your first re-emergence album as a CD.
Just Quiet.
Just Quiet, yeah, great album. Another brand new album called 12 Shades of Blue, and of course, a wonderful book. I love it. Golf, A Course of Life. Now, I must say to our viewers, it's not about golf and the rules of golf and how to play golf, but it's all about playing golf and what it can do to you emotionally, I imagine.
Well, it's actually lessons you can learn from playing golf.
Yeah.
They're life lessons. Look, it's not a new thing, but people have said before that golf's a metaphor for life.
Exactly.
I just made it work.
Who is John Hanlon? A little bit about John Hanlon.
You want me to tell you about
Yeah, have you?
Oh, wow.
And you've got 65 seconds.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm a Eurasian boy who was brought up in New Zealand off and on.
And you had a wonderful career in New Zealand.
Yeah, I had a wonderful career as a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
I was very successful. The records show that I won a bunch of Album of the Year awards and a bunch of Song of the Year awards.
And big hits too. They
and
were
had
great.
big hits as well, yeah. It's nice in many ways, in fact it's in a lot of ways, that they still play my songs 40 years after I recorded them in this country. So yeah, that's something.
There was a point where you said, enough is enough, I'm off to Australia and make a new life. You did that, didn't you? And
No,
you went to the advertising business.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually say enough, I'm off to Australia. I just said, I was doing the same songs over and over, which is fine, you know, it's great for the listeners, and it sounds, every time I say this, it sounds like I've spat the dummy or something. But I heard the term used the other day, which I love, that somebody said you were an accidental pop star, and I was. But you know, and with it comes fame, and you've heard me say before, fame's a Faustian deal, which it is. You know, you when you become famous, unfortunately, you become famous, and at some point you become famous for being famous, which is what it seems to be now. But I had when I began singing as a songwriter, which that's what I am. I'm a songwriter. I mean, I'm not a, you know, I don't purport to be anything else. Actually. And I could sing anything I wanted to. But after a few years, when you get hits for all the right reasons, you end up having songs that people keep wanting to hear, and pretty soon you're only allowed to sing those songs.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I've been through that myself, haven't I? So
yeah.
I can identify with you. You're on the golf course one day, of course. How did the idea come up for a book like this?
Well, I have a business partner called Paul Wilson, and Paul wrote a series of calm books. We used to call him the Guru of Calm. He had a big success with a book called The Little Book of Calm. I say to people, he was so calm it drove the rest of us nuts. But he was banking a check one day. I knew, and we split our income. And when he was banking a check and he was putting this check into the bank, and you know, I saw him doing it. I said, "You're doing another check for your book?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, I'm going to write one. I'll write a self-help book." I was completely there wasn't the last thing on my mind. And as I was literally walking out of his office, he said, "I think you ought to." And I said, "What?" He said, "You're the master of metaphor." I've never heard that term, and I don't know if you had. And I said, "What the hell's a master of metaphor?" And he said, "Well, you know how whenever we're in a meeting and people don't get it, you just simplify it down, and then so everybody can get it.
Reduce it down, yeah."
And I said, "Oh, Paul, that's because I get bored. You know, I just get bored of meetings. I want to move on, so I just think of something, say it, right, and then it's done." I said, "But I think of it 3 seconds before I say it, and I forget it 5 seconds after I said it. I don't have a little pocketbook of metaphors for every occasion." About 6 months, I don't know, sometime later, I was playing golf with him. I love to play golf. Golf's a passion. I was playing golf with a friend of mine who was such a good golfer. He played in the same amateur team as Greg Norman. So this guy is a golfer that I can only aspire to ever be. And he hit a drive right down the middle of the fairway, and his ball landed right in the middle of the fairway in a divot. Now, those who play golf will know that you have to play it. You know, the fact that some incompetent, inconsiderate person left it there as notwithstanding, you have to play the ball out of the hole. So when Ray, his name was, he's going to hate me for saying that, but when he gets to the ball, he starts going off about the universe and everybody else in the world and how unfair it is and blah blah. And I just popped out and I just said, mate, in that way golf's like life,
Yes.
bing, the electric light bulb went off.
It's a course in life.
Yeah, and so that was it. And I actually went home that night and I wrote 30 ideas down, of which 25
ultimately made it
to the final cut. And I then decided to extend it to 72 lessons because there's 72 strokes in an average championship course. And they're simply common sense things that relate to golf. You know?
So there's basically, if you open the, show our viewers, there's one there, do it your way. You've got on this page the
golf lesson.
The golf lesson, and then of course the
life lesson.
The life lesson.
Yeah, and so many people
wonderful
are just reading the blue part of the book, you know, because not everybody plays golf.
Yeah. And
that's, I guess, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am, how the book is already resonating with people who don't play golf. And I mean, it's working with golfers because golfers get laughed at, you know.
And look, it's not a book about how to play golf. No. It's really the results of playing golf. And what a great gift idea it would make. This is a wonderful gift, isn't it?
That's what it was.
For kids to give their parents who play golf, because you can learn so much. And you don't have to read it all at once. No. It's one of those books that you can pick a page. So what I'd like to do, John, just to give our viewers a good idea, let's just pick out of the 72, what about 3 or 4 that, an example, well, there's one there, be prepared. Be prepared.
Well, be prepared. Well, that's. I think being prepared is very simple. That's a very simple lesson. It was a Boy Scout mantra.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But being prepared in golf is quite simple. You've got to have the right. Each different courses require different shots to be played. Michael Campbell famously won the US Open, and people were very surprised. Michael Campbell spent weeks playing the sorts of shots that he needed, practicing the shots he needed on these upside down, the green, what they call saucer-shaped greens.
Yes,
and
exactly.
he really had that part of his game sorted out. So when he won the US Open, he had prepared his game for that thing. But it could be as simple as making sure that you have long irons instead of rescue clubs for the sort of club place that you're playing. Sometimes being prepared means not even taking a driver. Stick that out the way and use only a 3-wood. There's many ways you can be prepared. And the same way in...
it was the same with life.
In life, yeah. Yes, if you're in business, you have to be prepared. You've got to do all the work you need to do before you go to pitch your business or, you know, whatever you need to do, you have to do the groundwork. You need to be prepared.
Be a good loser.
Yeah. Okay.
Be a good loser.
Well, I think I really need to explain what I mean by that, because being a good loser is... nobody wants to lose. I'm not saying you... be prepared to lose, right? I'm not. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But the reality is we will lose. There are times when we will lose. And being a good loser is not just being a gracious loser, which is very important. I think when you, in any kind of contest, whether it's a pop song contest or anything where you lose, the last thing you want to do is to detract from the other person's joy at winning by being ungracious. I just think, what is that all about, you know? And I see it all the time, and I have no respect for people who are like that. But that's one aspect of it. But being a good loser is being smart enough to learn from your loss. How did you lose? And you see it all the time with rugby and things. They lose, but they'll say, we have to look at the video.
Yeah, you know, let's analyse it.
You know, footy players always say, full credit to the boys. Well, we'll have a look at what we did, right? So you learn from your loss. You see what it is, and you'll know when the things that you did, what you need to improve. You know, for me, it'll be like, I've got to work on my putting, or I had 3 or 4 really bad chips. I need to practice. You need to be smart about losing. Right?
What is it about golf that does seem to bring out the worst in people? It is more than I think other sports. Golf seems to bring out the worst.
People do lose perspective on a golf course. It really does worry me sometimes. So you would think that a bad bunker shot is, you know, carcinogenic. It isn't. But sometimes your reaction to it could be. You know, the reality is you played a bad shot, get over it. You've got to make sure the next one's better. I'm not sure. I think it's just an innate nature of people that people react differently to being less than perfect, if you know what I mean. But I think it's a very frustrating game. It looks easy, but it's not easy. So, you know.
But you see the image in your mind of golfers grabbing their... just snapping them in frustration.
I've seen it. You know. I even broke a club myself once, famously broke a club, and I didn't mean to, but I had a trundler with very narrow struts holding the wheels up, and I went, man, I threw my club. I went to get the divot, you know, I threw my club to work, and it dinged it, and I didn't even know that I'd done it, and then I went, next shot I played, it snapped.
John, we could talk for hours. I mean, we're both pop musicians from the
Wonderful word,
past.
pop.
And look, there's so much to talk about. Of course, you're over here on a brief visit from Australia, but we've got to tell our viewers about how they can get hold of this book. So they need to go to a website, don't they?
Yes, the only place you can get the book at the moment, I will try and get it into store. If I can, I'll try and put it in store.
Yep.
But I'm trying to raise money for charity. So there's two things that are important. One, you can only buy it at this time from Better Books, that's one word, betterbooks.co.nz. I'm now 30% of any money I make from this, assuming I make some money from this, is going to an organisation called Streetworks, and that's one word, but instead of KS, it's X on the end.
Yeah.
Streetworks.org. Michael Campbell's actually a patron of this. It is an Australian charity. You don't have to buy my book. What I'm saying is, if you were to go into Streetworks and just give them $10, I'd be delighted, because they're working with at-risk children and
oh, good on you. That's great, John. So what about three people? Three of our viewers can each win a copy of the book and John Hanlon, 12 Shades of Blue, your new CD.
Yeah, 12 Shades
What
of
a
Blue.
great package. That is great value.
Thank you.
And all I have to do is email Jared at The Beat Goes On, and they're going to put an answer in the subject line. So we need a really fantastic, intelligent, wonderful question that'll have...
Can I have a minute?
And I think the question should be, John. Everyone remembers John Hanlon, and I think that you have to just put in the subject line, John's biggest hit in New Zealand, of course, Damn the Dam. What a monster that was. It was a wonderful song, wasn't it?
Thank you. Yeah, it was.
John, look, thank you for ducking into The Beat Goes On tonight and,
My pleasure, always.
and telling us what you're doing and keeping up with the life of John Hanlon. And please keep recording, because it's great to see you every year
Thank you.
on your visits back to New Zealand. Thanks, John.